Starters, we have the designing of the future of Apex Legends.
What's up, everyone?
Dev
Stella
interview.
here, and Respawn held a 5-year
Not that I care,
Apex Legends
but
anniversary press summit event that I attended and got a sneak preview of Season 20. I got to speak with Moipara, animation director, and Ashley Reed, narrative lead, about what they've learned over the last 5 years and what they expect for the future of Apex Legends.
all right, let's see what they have decided the future looks like.
How do you feel about it being Apex's 5th anniversary?
We did it.
yeah. It's a mix of emotions for sure. It's super grateful that the game is going well and it's grown into what it's become. And at the same time, like a lot of things have changed from the game that we launched, even though it's a huge success, into what it's become now, a super international sort of renowned IP and stuff. So it's you treat it with a little bit more, I guess, reverence every time you go into a scene and you get to work on these characters that are loved by a lot of people. So it's changed a little bit like that, but it's been fun throughout the whole process.
I'm thinking about it in terms of, I heard once, if your game makes it 5 years, it'll make it 10 years.
There you
and I'm
go.
like, all right,
That's
let's
good news
go.
for us.
Well, at least they're excited about it.
In 10 years. Another
Dead
5
in the
years.
ground.
It's hard to say because I don't think if you asked me 5 years ago, I'd know where we would be today. I guess the dream is still running, still making Apex, still making something cool. And I guess just building on the things that we learn and building the IP, making something bigger and bigger, and just still creating content for the fans who love it.
Yeah, I think something cool about Apex is that it's provided us with a huge canvas of just a big place, a big playground that it can evolve into a number of places, right? We have a rich universe, we have a lot of characters. I think the BR is, of course, our identity, our core. But within it, as even within 5 years, the game has evolved into other modes, a lot more story into it. So I can only imagine that.
I mean, gun game's a
as
good
time goes
mode,
by, who
but
knows
as
what
far as
new
the other
ideas
mode,
will
was it
manifest
team
themselves.
deathmatch? No
Who
thanks.
knows what new trends will come up in the gaming industry itself. It's actually part of the fun to see how it will evolve. I don't know exactly. I wish I could predict exactly where we'll be. It's more about can this property actually stand the test of time? I think it can. I think there's a lot of vectors in which it can go, and I think we have a rich canvas in which to expand. And I think that's what makes
What
it
up, Jason?
exciting to see where it goes.
Yeah, that's what's exciting for me too, is like knowing how big it has gotten and really how rich it is. That's something.
Jason.
Honorary
talks about
ninja.
quite a bit is,
Thank you for
building
subscribing for
that
3 months in a row, bro, Tato. Appreciate
so
him.
Not like
Appreciate it, bro,
creating
Tato.
for the sake of it, but you have this rich core. Can you add layers to that? Can you build it up? Can you explore that? And there's so much of that in the Apex universe already.
Now, there is one thing I will say that Apex storyline is really,
Which direction do we want to go? All of that
for certain characters, is really cool.
And since it's a legend-based and a cool universe, there's a lot of different directions in which it can go. I'm excited for that.
Okay, so we're getting new voice acted scenes for this new season. What was it like getting all the voice actors back so they could recite these voice lines and do the stories? Were they in booths together, kind of talking, or?
Where we could, we tried to organize that, where it was really important for the characters to be engaging each other and having conversations, talking back and forth and playing off each other. We try to get them together in the booth. Sometimes it's like more of a character talking to themselves, or it's not as critical for it to be an emotional back and forth, and then it was them by themselves. And that's consistent with what we've done pretty much every 3 months since the beginning of Apex.
Is there an Apex comic book? What's up, Lass?
An evolution of this.
Is that what that is, or is that just? This must just be draw-ups for the season.
Differently, they really love that because that's the really interesting character-focused stuff where they can like emote and say like, "This is how I feel," and these new voice actors.
What's up, Lass?
Expansion of that and exploring what the character can be outside, like the moment.
Everything as a comic book? Fair enough.
With season 20, we obviously see the game changing quite a bit.
What's up, Lordy?
And there are different skill trees that we can kind of pick and choose our playstyle. We can be more passive, or we can be a little bit more aggressive.
A lot of things have comic
any of
books.
the Legends animations change to reflect those?
Slightly. There's always a.
I feel like if Apex had a story mode, it would do better.
Are we going to reflect some of
You
the
know what I
things
mean?
that are coming in?
Probably.
It's a back and forth between them to see.
I say probably
where we
because I don't
wanna
know.
Invest the time. What is it that needs to speak clearly to the player, making sure that something is new. More than anything, I think one of the areas that we have focused on a lot is on trying to make the game as accessible.
It did have a story mode for a bit, a mission mode. No, like an actual story, not like side mission story, not mission mode, like an actual story mode.
Possible for the people that have been here for a long time.
I know that would just revert it back to Titanfall, but essentially that's what it would be.
With, you know, one new thing.
I love Titanfall. I thought Titanfall 1 and 2 were amazing. I just do not care at all for Apex.
The purity of the design and what designers want players to experience.
It is interesting to know what they're going to do for the future of the
To
game.
go into. Hopefully, all of this increases the experience of making the game more fun for players who have been for a while and for new ones.
You want to hang out here. You want to hang
Yeah,
out
you
with
want to be
these
here. You
people.
want to be with these characters, and any way that we can make that better for the player. Ultimately, that's the goal. Hopefully, that's what we're trying to hit here.
How big do you see Apex's Legend roster growing in terms of lore and animation?
How many people?
How
many new
variations
characters?
could you possibly come up with?
Oh, goodness.
That's a good question.
A
That's
lot.
about what I think we can answer on our own, because
You're the story lead. What do you mean?
First game. So when it comes to characters, the designs come first. What's going to fit well with the gameplay? What's going to be fun to play against? What's going to be fun to play with? So we actually don't originate those ideas. Like, we can have ideas like, you know, who
It's, I think,
would be fun to have a hockey
once
player?
every,
And,
well,
like,
they
we can have
they
that.
have been doing it once every season that I'm aware of.
With a kit that comes by, and maybe we get a kit. It's like, you know what? We haven't thought of anything.
Whether it be a remake of a
Let's
character,
scratch. Let's
like a
get
patch of a
big
character,
reset, I think is more contingent.
revamp,
Different
or a new character altogether.
and not feel overwhelming to understand.
It's not,
I think a
it's not
season,
just
yeah, it's like
more for
3
the sake
months,
of
3 to 6
growth, for the
months,
sake
yeah.
of adding more. In fact, anytime that we add a new legend,
Like they just
it's
revamped
challenging
him.
because, we
So he has a
tried
new
we
thing
tried to
now.
make our legends as unique as possible. And there's archetypes for a number.
And then they added a new guy.
Always says that.
And then they added a new girl. So yeah, it's like once a
Only an
season.
amount that we can make only as uniquely as possible. So there's going to be areas where there are going to be some overlapping stuff, either overlapping traits or overlapping personalities or overlapping something. The more and more we grow, I feel like we're going to run into this more and more. It's a fun challenge, but it's 100% a challenge. If it's just unlimited amount, eventually we'll get into some sort of mesh that it might not be the healthiest thing for the game.
Why is he wearing a
We
Sonic
definitely
the
have a conversation
Hedgehog
more now
hat
than we ever did, like when it
when
was
he's
original.
presenting?
For sure.
There was never a
Apex.
this is too much like this character, but this is too much like this character, and having to thread the needle like
Yeah.
so finely. I think Catalyst, the big challenge was threading the needle between Wraith and
Wraith.
Seed.
You see, she's wearing
Where it's like,
Apex
how to
merchandise.
neither of those and
He's wearing Respawn merchandise.
and that
But
more challenging.
he's wearing a Sonic hat.
It's a fun challenge.
It is a fun
thing to
challenge.
think about.
Rab does stuff like that all the time.
Is the most challenging aspect of
I just feel like it's weird to promote your own
website. Because
thing
for me, it's finishing the
while,
warehouse.
I mean, essentially promoting another thing.
I mean, I guess it's probably that it never stops.
Yeah.
It's both the most challenging part and a
That woman walking by, don't mind me.
because it is.
I'm
never
out here.
ending, So you have to keep coming up with something new, something fresh. Keep going.
What's
Keep going. Sometimes it can, and then sometimes the work even itself gets a little overwhelming. It's like, oh, this is bigger than we thought it would be. We can't stop. There's no time. But at the same time, because you're doing those reps, you can say, oh, well, we learned something from this season. Let's immediately take advantage of it in this next one, instead of waiting 5 years on a project that you have to see.
See, so
finish it and then
season
start
6,
again.
they came out with her, with her little Gatling gun.
Energy and time, but it can also be like a real upset.
This is the, what do we see the future of Apex looking
Players'
like?
expectations as well as internal expectations. We always, every single season, every single character, every single weapon.
They haven't really talked about the future of Apex. They really just
best
talked
possible
about
product, right? So every single time, it almost feels like we are
just
one up
normal
on something.
jargon for video
Again,
games.
that can be difficult because it's difficult to maintain.
He's
that.
like, it could be out
At some
anything,
point,
anywhere,
it's like,
anytime, any place. It's
outdoing
difficult.
every time because there's
We don't know.
so much that we can go. So part of the live service,
Typical
players
video
get
game
to
jargon.
Do this a lot. We get to take immediate feedback from the community, adjust something that's not working, push something that is working well, and at the same time, there's only so many vectors that you can do without painting yourself into a corner. So it's a very delicate balance that you wanna hit.
What do you feel like you guys have done the best in the last 5 years of helping create and develop Apex?
I think it's a multi-layered answer. Apex was hit with a very surprise. I mean, when we set out to make this game, of course, we went into it with the absolute best intention. But people would be lying if they said, of course, we expected it to be this huge. There's no way. That day that it launched, it was.
What's the concurrent player base of Apex? Does anybody know?
It was awesome, right? And then we immediately were hit with the challenge of, cool, now what? Now we need to feed this beast. I think something that we have done well is.
I'm wondering myself. I'm about to look it up. Hold on.
An immediate success, which is, it's a good challenge to have. Not too long after that, we were hit with COVID, and then we were hit with the rapid expansion of a team in order to support this game. So
Steam charts.
combined,
Steam charts.
going to the pandemic, changing course into now almost fully remote. It's a testament of how good those
89,000.
core design was, and just
And a 24-hour peak,
that made it
250,000.
withstand all of these potential challenges and difficulties
Okay.
that happen.
All right,
Now
I can
it's
see that.
a matter of where do we want to take this? How do we expand this? We have a really good base. We have a really good core. We have a lot of players that love
So,
our game.
concurrent player base
Characters.
I feel like
is around
he's done a really good job. I guess the good way.
144,000.
To keep our eye on the prize.
Sure.
Like we know what about the game.
That's not
We know
bad.
what the core of the game is. We know what.
Yeah, daily peak is 144,000. That's not bad.
We know the gameplay, the game feel.
That is not
A
bad.
huge deal for Apex, and we know the characters are a huge deal for.
But I want to check something
And
else.
there are times where we've experimented and gone different ways, but we always come back to center. There are times where maybe that wasn't the best way we could have done that because we are experimenting, but we always keep sight of this is the important thing and this is what we want people to experience. So that's stayed pretty consistent throughout Apex, which I think was a really strong move on the team's part. And also just being collaborative and being respectful of each other's talents and like what everyone brings. Because I've been on projects where some groups are like, nah,
Our world's
we're
got it
doing
beat,
what
though.
we're doing. Like, ignore everybody else. We're gonna be over here doing our thing, and no one else can touch it. And there you go, make that work.
Our world's
Share
concurrent
also
player
with the
base.
team about what other kinds of
784,000.
understand it. I like talking to coders, even though that's
For sure.
so
Wow.
far beyond what I do. If I understand it, then I understand the game better, and I understand them better as professionals.
I'm gonna play Apex with Pizza next week. We're not gonna invite you. Oh, I don't care.
Respect for each
I don't want to play.
other's,
Thanks.
like professional skills
Appreciate it.
and just creativity and knowledge that's been maintained through the team, which I really appreciate.
Would you say that the future of Apex is very bright still, even after 5 years?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
really excited to keep going. We got lots of plans.
I updated it yesterday.
There's a lot of plans. I wish we could say more, right? There's a lot of really exciting plans. There's a lot
Doesn't mean I want to play it.
in the immediate future. There's a lot of stuff that is coming further down the line, but there's a lot of stuff that I think the team is very excited about. I'm personally super excited about.
Honestly,
I know narrative-
I couldn't tell you.
We work on this together a lot, so I guess we get to see a little bit further away than some of the other teams.
You gotta think all the kids are home from school and everything. It's late at night.
Like, what are you personally working on? I'm like, well, I kind of oversee things, but like, I've got my hands in something that's coming out at the end of this year.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's how far, and I'm really
Absolutely.
excited about it. So that's how far we're looking.
So you would say season 20 is kind of only the beginning.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, it's a very exciting season.
I'd say we're hitting the end.
Quite cool. Quite cool.
We got some fun little hints in season 20 of what you'll see coming next. So let's see if
Tasty.
people can spot them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, you ready for another round, shooter?
Nope. I sure ain't. Apex Legends Breakout coming February 13th. So that's when the new season drops, February 13th. Okay. You're hitting the end, Dinosaur. Absolutely right. No, I'm not a fan of Apex. I don't mind playing it with you guys every once in a while if you guys want to play it, whatever. But I am not a fan of the game. I'm happy to see it's doing well after so long, but to be completely honest with you, with the amount of cheaters and hackers that play that game, it's just, I feel like Respawn really needs some type of better anti-cheat, especially for a game that big. That's how I feel.